What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And you're listening to Liquid Kernedge. Was that your news voice?
That was. Did you like that? That was my Jim Pickle voice.
Your Jim Pickle voice. A lot of people don't know that Jason was in a theater troupe here in Kingman before he left for our Performing Arts Center. And he did a lot of comedy shows and was also the star of our Christmas production of Scrooge last year, 2 years ago now.
Gosh, seems like it was forever.
Yeah, man, 2 years.
Coming up on 2 years. Time's going by so fast, dude.
I know. It feels like forever.
Good Lord. Yeah, Jim, my stage name for that first play they ever did. That was the first play that was ever done by the Kingman Center for the Arts.
And if I remember right, that was at the Art in the Park, and you stole the show.
It was the Art at the Park. Yeah, we were out. We didn't have a stage yet. We didn't have anything. We did it outside in the park. It was fun. It was different. You know, we tried it out. It was good. So we gave it a go.
That's good, man. I had good times. It was fun to watch you guys today do that. And I've noticed that's one thing. We've got a burgeoning theater program here in Kingman, but it's lacking that star power, that Jason Edgeworth je ne sais quoi, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear anything bad though about Brothers. I heard it was they did a great job.
Yeah, I heard that.
So I heard that they filled my shoes admirably and have great actors for the next few years. So I'm excited for them.
You know, with your Jim Pickle voice, if anything ever happens to you in the medical field and you need to switch careers, maybe journalism is for you, and you could be a desk jockey on the evening news. Apparently, it's not hard these days.
Yes. It's not hard these days. It seems like all you have to do is be able to sensationalize the mundane, and you could be on the news. Oh my gosh, that bird flew across the sky.
It's funny you bring that up because last week was a very exciting week for news if you watch it, because we're in a very weird world right now.
Very weird world.
I had forgotten that Megyn Kelly, who was a longtime anchor for Fox, which is a very conservative news station, if for those that don't know, also some call it President Trump's only way of getting current events. She took a big-time contract inside with NBC, who is a very liberal-leaning media center. And she was on the panel discussing the Kavanaugh trial last Thursday.
Okay.
And it was very interesting to see that, you know, you would think that, you know, if she's on a very liberal-leaning station, she would probably play the part of the people signing her paycheck. But to her credit, man, I have to admit that she is probably conservative through and through, because she towed the line of the Republicans and withstood everything that the Democrats and the liberal panel threw at her. I mean, it was very impressive to watch, whether you're a fan or not. It was nice to actually see one channel have a yin and a yang of this current scenario.
Well, and I watched something today on the other side that Fox News even has standards of what they will not accept. I guess they had a contributor for Fox News who they actually let go because some of his comments about this whole trial were put onto Twitter, and I guess they were very bad. Like just I can't even repeat it because it was pretty brutal against the lady, Dr. Ford from that whole trip. And even Fox News said, you know what? You've crossed the line. And let him go.
Let's be real, man. It takes a lot for Fox to say you crossed the line.
Well, yeah, especially if you believe into Fox, and you know, most of their contributors are very much, you know, they're very much. You can't really screw up on Fox, but this guy has crossed the line even for them, and he let them, or they let him go. So, you know, I think what I'm learning is everyone is just so angry right now. Like, I think that we got to calm down.
Oh, yeah.
People are really angry on both sides. But yeah, when I saw they did a replay of Senator Graham from South Carolina. Where you could see the blood vessel about ready to burst on his neck.
And you know what, though? He can say all he wants, but, man, I go back to – they sat on the nomination for Merrick Garland for 400-some-odd days and didn't do a damn thing.
Oh, wow.
And for them to get mad over this, no, they started this political game, and now we're stuck in this circle of fuck. And it's only going to get worse.
But everyone gets so angry.
Oh, I agree.
No, like you can't even have a conversation anymore about things like
I agree.
this. And...
it's funny. I was watching. I think it was last a couple days ago, the show on HBO, and it's very liberal leaning. But they had a clip of the guy who runs the Federalist Group, and that's the group that supplies the names of all the judges that should be on the Supreme Court or potential candidates of Supreme Court judges.
Yeah.
And he was interviewing on one of the daytime talk shows or morning news shows, and the guy said, "Yeah, no, we have a list of 25 judges, and it's not ranked. It's just 25 judges that are more than qualified to do this. So you can throw a dart, and whatever name it lands on, they're qualified." So
wow.
I don't know, but
that's like the people who say, "Hey, you call the person who graduated last in their class in law school,
yeah,
a lawyer."
Exactly.
It's kind of one of those deals,
Exactly. It's like, oh shit. Well, I guess if this doesn't work out, there's 24 other guys that are the same political beliefs at this point in time. So fuck it, why not? Go grab one of them.
I didn't get to see a lot of it, but you can tell that being in politics is not the same as being just a normal person. No. You know what I mean? Like being a normal person and being in politics, there are two different ways that you have to answer questions. There's two different ways that you have to, hedge yourself. And like I was thinking as I was driving back from Kingman this weekend, I would have been like, they would have hated me because I would have, when the guy said, "Do you think that we should have the FBI probe?" Yeah, go ahead, man. Let's have them probe. And when I'm found innocent, then I want your vote.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can't do that. No. You've already assumed I'm guilty. But if I'm found innocent, you give me your vote.
Yeah.
But you can't talk like that in politics because you got to be politically correct and you got to say it the right ways. The other thing I was thinking about too is why do people have to lie about drinking beer, dude? Like what?
I love beer.
I love beer.
I drink beer.
I love beer.
I love beer with Edgeworth and JP and Dean and my
Squi
buddy Bennett.
or Squi, Squi or whatever.
I like beer. I love beer.
No, but I mean, in real life, if someone asked you, "Hey, Scott, in high school, did you ever?" You don't remember what happened the next day?
I can honestly say,
hell yeah. Are you kidding me?
Say no. I didn't pick up
Really?
until college. Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's a fun fact about your favorite drunken podcaster. I did not pick up drinking until I was in college because we lived in a small town. My mom was in the ER. My dad was a highway patrolman. So, word got around pretty quick. And I just didn't hang out with that crowd anyway. I was kind of a nerd. And we did our own thing. We went to Taco Bell and played GoldenEye. That was us.
Okay. Well, in Juneau, Alaska, where I was from, there was only 4 things to do. Mm-hmm. Hunt, fish, drink, and screw. And I don't hunt or fish. Uh-huh. So we drank almost every weekend. Once we turned juniors in high school, we drank almost every weekend. But what we did was my friend and I had a rule. I would drive one weekend, he would drink. Then the next weekend, I would drink and he would drive. So we always had a designated driver because that was a real big thing that our parents pushed on us. And I'm thankful for that. And it worked out pretty well. But if someone were to ask me when you were 16, do you remember blacking out or do you remember drinking too much? I would answer affirmative. What? Like, and the thing that's frustrating is one, he hemmed and hawed about that question. Like, dude, just be honest.
Yeah,
you drank, big deal.
The problem that bothered me was the whole thing is I don't mind that the Republican side hired that female prosecutor that cross-examined Dr. Ford. Fine, whatever. But when Kavanaugh came up and started talking, it's almost like the Republicans tagged her out and broed in. And he just got to like a whole nother sense of obnoxious because he was straight up with Republicans. And then like Senator Knollenblacher, Lockenbucher,
Kloblacher, Kublacher,
the one from Minnesota. When she asked if you ever blacked out, and he just, as a matter of fact, said, "Have you ever blacked out?" He dodged so many questions. Like it was like
Yeah.
it was infuriating to the point. It's like, come on, man, take this seriously. Answer the goddamn question. And he couldn't do it. And to
Well,
me, that says a lot more about character than anything else.
well, and I think that it kind of goes back. Notice how the lady, every time there was a yes, no, very short answers. What a normal person, not someone in politics, would answer. He's been in politics since 2000.
Yeah.
I mean, he was part of George W. Bush, so he's used to, you got to watch your answers. You can't answer, you can't put a question, or you can't put an answer out there that they can interpret or decipher. And maybe that's the difference, is that like we always just say, well, how would these people operate if they worked for a regular company?
Oh yeah.
And had to actually get along, But then I have to remember, well, this isn't a regular company, though. This is politics, and you gotta, you can't mince words, and you get,
Yeah, I'll tell you, the part that lost me to the whole thing, and at the end of the day, I truly believe this man will be confirmed. One way or the other, I think it's a foregone conclusion. We're just in a dog and pony show now. And right, wrong, indifferent, I don't care. That's just the way I see it. When they asked him what the Devil's Triangle was, and he said it was a drinking game, it does one of those shut the fuck up moments. Like, how the fuck are you going to, anyone under the age of 40 knows what a Devil's Triangle is. So shut the fuck up and who are you fooling?
Okay, I'm going to have to admit something to you.
You didn't know. You're over 40.
I didn't know what it was.
You're over 40, so.
But I looked it up.
Uh-huh.
And now I know that it is not a drinking game.
Well, the funny thing is,
I
had to explain to my parents what the Devil's Triangle was.
Oh, God.
And that's, even at 37, that's still an awkward conversation to have. So, if that happened,
So let me ask you this, Scott. If you answer honestly and say, yeah, I drink beer. Yeah, I blacked out. Or I know what the Devil's Triangle is, and I've done it 12 times, or whatever. Do you think that in politics that being upfront, brutally honest like that would be a hindrance to you obtaining like high levels of government? Or do you think it should, I guess? Maybe, do you think it should prohibit you from having high levels of government?
I don't think so. I think if you're upright and forthright about your personal life like that, and those are very intimate details that you shouldn't have to discuss on that level. But if it gets asked, man, yeah, it doesn't affect my job. I still show up and do my job when I'm required to, how I need to do it, and I do it better than most anyone else on this planet. So, what the fuck does it matter as long as my job gets done?
Yeah. I don't know. Because I think about my past, and I don't know if I would want to run for that if you had people constantly trying to turn up your past.
Yeah.
And say, oh, well, Jason, when you were 16 years old, you drank too much and passed out, or, when you were 21 years old, you did this or did this. And I don't know, man, I'd be a little afraid to have someone going back and trying to look up my past like that.
It's so much easier now, though, because of social media and the way things track on the internet. You could dig up someone's past a whole lot easier, and this is I don't want to say this is a very unique situation, because the whole Clarence Thomas thing 25 years ago, but it seems like we're reliving that just in a very more vivid, angry stage, It feels like that there's just a lot of anger, and people are venting about this and taking it on the wrong people. And maybe Dr. Ford and Brett Cavanaugh are just victims of two parties that are just at wit's end with each other because of stupid politics.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that did kind of upset me to the Republicans' point is I think the Democrats could have handled the information and the processing of the information better than they did.
That I do.
I mean,
yeah. I do.
I really think
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that if the woman had told the Feinstein's office that, hey, I don't want this to get to public, but I think it's important that that about this candidate, or I think that she could have taken the information to the Republicans and said, look, this is what I've got on this person. I think we need to do more investigation. Now, in their defense, maybe the idea was, so I'm not going to give them this information at all. But at some point, at some point, she could have handled it a little better than the way they did.
Yeah, I agree. I think the whole thing's been a clusterfuck. You know,
and to be honest, someone said it best on the news recently. Are you telling me this is the only judge in all of the judges in the United States that we need to go through this much hassle for?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. Like, I got to think there's probably 25 other judges that you could pick, do a background check and do the picking on, but you could find someone else. I mean, I do have to wonder why why we get stuck on one person and that's the only person.
No, I agree. And clearly there's a whole list of them that are more than qualified.
Yeah, like you said, the guy said there's 25 on the list. They're all equal.
I have to think at this point, though, this guy maybe they're sticking to their guns. They're digging their heels in because they want to prove a point. And I think from maybe the president's standpoint, this guy's gone on record saying a sitting president should not be indicted. So I think that's a piece of background information that maybe the president's holding on to just in case everything does go south with the Mueller investigations, if that ever does actually go somewhere.
Do you think, though, one thing that I was thinking of, too, is maybe it's too late to bring up another candidate because now if the estimation is correct that the Republicans might lose the Senate, there may not be enough time before they take office to get a new candidate. So maybe this is it. If they don't get this guy and they lose, then maybe that's their fear, is that, well, we can't get another candidate up in time to get it.
And that's a very real scenario. And I was reading an article today that said that they have to give, I think, like 48 or 72 hours worth of notice before the actual floor vote, and they can't do that until they get the completion of the FBI investigation now. So it could happen as early as late this week or early next week, as long as the FBI finishes their investigation. And now the president has come out and said, well, you make sure it's a thorough investigation, but stay within the scope. So who knows how long that'll take, if that'll take longer or take less time. It's a very interesting scenario we're living in now, but I agree. If something happens with this guy, there's no way they can vet someone else and have them done and in before the midterms next month.
Yeah. And frankly, I was talking to Noreen about this. I don't know how this is going to get fixed. Like, I don't know how the political thing that we have now, I don't know how it gets fixed. I think I'm not sure what is going to need to happen for both sides to kind of come back to their senses and say, look, we've got to do this together here.
I think in our current political climate, we're anywhere from 2 to 6 years away from getting this fixed. We need someone that's going to calm down and not try to enrage their base and be a blowhard to sit everyone down and say, this is what we need to do. We need a more moderate leader is what we need. And we need people that actually want to sit down and yell.
And yet, once again, in private life, we can have civil discussions with our friends and family and talk about these kind of topics without it. No, I don't even think I can say that anymore. Not anymore. I've read so many tweets and Facebook messages from people who I thought were my circle of friends that have said some things that it's like, oh my goodness, yeah. Okay, I'm not going to bring up this topic with this person because that's going to go over like a bag of wet kittens.
Well, that's the one thing I've learned through all this is like you have to keep your politics to yourself, and you almost have to find someone in a romantic sense that has a similar viewpoint to yours, because this is almost a deal breaker to a lot of people now.
Yeah,
people are getting passionate one way or the other about it. Whether they're actually educated on it remains to be seen, but they're definitely passionate about it, and that's turning into a problem because passion and ignorance are a dangerous combination in our world today.
Well, and I think that one of the things that drives people on their political decision making, I'm surprised how many people are like a one issue person.
Yeah.
Whether it's I vote for anyone who's going to reverse Roe v. Wade, or I'm going to vote anyone who is big on the wall and national security. But when you try to ask them, well, what do you think about healthcare? What do you think about taxes? What do you think about trade? I'm only this one issue. Well, it's kind of hard
No, you can't be a
to
one-trick
pick a
pony.
candidate when you only focus on one issue.
Well, the sad part is so many people just look at the R or the D next to the candidate's name, and that's how they vote. They vote party line. They don't look at issues. And that's the scary part. And
yeah, we have a. Go ahead.
I said, well, and to add to that, people are so celebrity worship driven nowadays. They listen to see what the celebrities have to say, and some of them are complete whack jobs. It was like Kanye West posted a picture of himself on Twitter with his "Make America Great" hat again, but then he said he wants to abolish the 13th Amendment. And as you well know what the 13th Amendment is, it's the amendment that ends slavery.
Yeah, he did say later, though, I saw on the TV this for news, he said that he didn't mean abolish the 13th Amendment. He said amend the 13th Amendment, which
to what?
I don't know what the distinction is. I don't know.
I mean, do you want to free slaves or unfree the slaves temporarily? Like, what does that mean, Kanye? I mean, that's just dumb. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, we have an election going down. Well, I guess it's everywhere. It's for Flake's.
Oh yeah,
between Kirsten Sinema and Martin McSally. And when you see the ads that are on TV, Martha McSally to me is a one-trick pony. All she focuses on is border security. That's all she focuses on. And a mighty military.
Yeah.
Okay, so she has two ponies. But when you look at her voting record on healthcare or pre-existing conditions or other areas, you can tell that she votes party line. That's it. She votes whatever the Republicans say. And while I may agree or disagree with her politics, I don't know if we need more people who are just going to vote party line.
Yeah, who's going to come across the line and actually want to work together?
Like, I was doing some research on Kirsten Sinema. I was surprised that she's voted with Trump 60% of the time. That
is surprising.
That's surprising, right? But a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't get into the nitty-gritty of what they vote for and how they vote. So I don't know. I when I asked the question, how does this get fixed? Like, I yelled at my mom a little bit because she was talking about how she's just going to vote Democrat all the way down. Well, why? Well, because that's the only way you can fix this. Mom, that's not an answer.
No.
That's not an answer. No, you don't just vote for the party just because that's the party. That's how we got in the mess in the first place.
You know what we need? We need in this next presidential election, we need whoever's the Democratic nominee needs to find either an independent or a strong Republican base running mate that they can find common ground together and set that example and see if that works.
Well, perfect example, this whole thing exposed Jeff Flake, I guess, is friends with one of the senators from the Democrat side, Chris Coons, whatever. I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. If you become friends with someone who's on the different side of the aisle, why not form a team together and have moderation of each? And maybe you could bring both sides in. But
that was something I noticed in the hearings last week. It's everyone went from saying, well, these people have been my dear friends forever, and I used to have to say my dear friend Senator so and so and so and so, but now I can't because they're on the opposite party line. I was like, wait a minute. This doesn't change the fact that your politics should not end your friendship over this unless you're being a complete jackass.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the way it's gotten. I mean, all 10 of those Democrats are going to vote no. All 11 of those Democrats or Republicans voted yes.
Yeah.
And that was it. And it's almost like they don't want to let go of their power. Or I don't know. Like I said, I think that I guess that's the difference between the political world and a regular world. You couldn't get away with this shit or stuff working in a regular job.
Do you think some of those Republicans would be maybe they don't necessarily want to vote yes, but they're afraid to vote no because of the wrath on Twitter of of our leader?
Uh, n- no, I got to be honest. I think that, one of the things that struck me is you just have so many people who are holding on to the norms of what politics used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I based that off of when Lindsey Graham made the comment about how he voted for two of the chief justices that weren't necessarily his choice, weren't necessarily ones that he would have picked, but he voted for them anyways. And I think that he really thinks this should be the same way. You should be voting for this guy.
Yeah. Well,
And because they're not, it's like they're holding on to the old way of doing politics versus the new way. And I think that when those two clash like that, it frustrates people from the old school that say, no, this is how you're supposed to be president. This is how you're supposed to do these things, and you're not doing them, and they get frustrated and upset.
I don't know, man. For me, it's I lost all respect for Lindsey Graham with his little rant last week in the middle of everything. As far as I'm concerned, he can suck a dick.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, and I tell him to his face. The people confronting him, in the hallways after it about their past and whatever else, no sympathy. Just head down, go call the cops if something happened to you. Don't tell me. It's too late. Just that cold attitude. And I know you're in the heat of the moment. You're trying to, just protect yourself and everything that's going on. But, man, go fuck yourself, You're elected to represent people, and maybe you ought to take the time to listen to people. They don't have to be yours necessarily, but you are one of our leaders of the nation. You should act like it. And that's the problem where we're at right now is nobody wants to act like it. They're either entitled or they're fighting to get that entitlement back. And then when we're getting lost in the process, we're not a great country anymore. We're a dumpster fire of a country. We're a laughing stock right now because everyone sees us burning internally.
Well, I think that the distinction is like we talked about with the Bill of Rights. I mean, we have gotten so casual about the wonders of our government and what it does that we forget there are a lot of countries that don't have what we have.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of countries that don't have any concept that if I make a political statement against my leadership, that I'm going to be arrested and go to jail, or I'm going to be arrested for doing absolutely nothing.
We take a lot of things for granted here. We certainly do.
And maybe that casual attitude has gotten us to the point where, we don't keep up on politics. We don't do the things as the citizenry that we should do to become the best educated that we can, to make sure that we're voting for the type of people, not because they believe on this one issue or this one issue, but they're effective thinkers and they're leaders, and they go out, they're mavericks. Oh, I threw that in there. Maverick, right?
Yeah.
Like John McCain, a little John McCain-ish, like every once in a while, got to stir up the pot a little bit, maybe, rough some things up. That maybe that's part of, partly on us too.
Maybe.
I do feel that something needs to change.
I guess our listeners out there should hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, all at Liquid Kernedge, and tell us what has been your favorite part about being an American, or if you're not in this country, what you think would be a great part of being an American. Like, what do you think being an American is, and you would like to be if you were ever an American? I think that'd be kind of a fun topic to have this week on our social media. If you want to talk to Tom, you can hit him up on Instagram and Twitter, all at liquid_EP. I'm sure he's going to really have a lot of good notes for us this week because he doesn't like us necessarily going toward politics all the time.
He doesn't like us talking about politics. And
I think though, you and I can have a very even conversation because we don't necessarily see eye to eye on everything, but we can have a civil conversation. We proved that late Saturday night in that bar too, having a very similar discussion.
Yep. And I think that the difference is that we treat each other with respect, and I think we know where to say, you know what, we're going down a path that we're obviously going to elevate to something else. Let's just, you believe what you believe, I'll believe what I believe. It's not an indictment of you as a person or me as a person. It's not an indictment of you're a terrible person. It's an opinion, and it's not the law of the land. And so it is, in the immortal words of Scott Kern, it is what it is.
Atta baby.
That right, baby.
Yeah. So on a fun note, though, over the weekend a bet was made.
Oh,
a second bet. Make a bet, if you will.
One of our
We're
loyal listeners.
We're in a fantasy football league, and I played our former intern JP in a game this week where I had 3 Rams and a Viking start on the Thursday night football game and accumulated 145 points out of those 4 guys alone. And I bet Jason that JP's entire team cannot outscore those 4 guys the rest of the weekend. And if that was the case, I got to pick the drunk history topic that we're going to record in the middle of November. And if somehow JP's team outscored those 4 guys, he would get to pick the drunk history topic. So as it stands right now, not only did I win, I won by a mile. It wasn't even close.
No, I don't even think JP finished with 90 points.
No.
And for you listeners out there who may not understand our rules, if you score over 250 points, that's a monster week. We probably only have 3 teams this week that scored 145 points, and your team did it with 4 players. So
yeah,
that has to be out there. Secondly, if you score less than 100 points, you had a really bad week. Like that's a really bad week.
Or a good week in Tom's case.
Tom might win this week if he can hold on. He's got a tough matchup, but he could win this week. So
the wait and see.
But yes, so I'm the loser this week because I put faith in the intern and his team decided, I don't think Jason's topic for drunk history is what we're gonna do. So we'll leave it to Scott to make up the idea for the
as much as I would love to talk about the history of Linda Lovelace. He's a pile of porn.
Oh man!
I think I'm gonna find something else that's just a little more that's pretty entertaining, but something a little more moderate for all of our listeners.
There we go.
Yeah. So Jason, why don't you take us home?
Okay. Well, that podcast will come out probably in the middle part, right before Thanksgiving.
That might be a Thanksgiving special.
It might be.
I'm going to call it right here. Since that's coming out for our Thanksgiving special,
yeah,
I want you to talk about the first Thanksgiving.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. All right. Okay, I'll do my research. I'll start doing research, and that'll be a great topic. Scott, as always, we can agree to disagree, but our friendship remains true. Thanks for doing this episode with me. We had a good time. We appreciate all you guys, all our listeners out there. You guys make us keep wanting to come back again and again. That was Scott. I'm Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Kernedge.